friends, I am Vivian McPeak, and this is Hemp Present. If you have feedback or would like to suggest a guest or topic for Hemp Present, email me at hempresent@gmail.com. We have a fine show lined up today. A Southwest-based author whose books Willie Nelson describes as a blueprint for the America of the future. Doug Fine is the author of 6 books, including 2020's American Hemp Farmer, as well as the Boston Globe Bestseller, Farewell, My Subaru. His wild goat-wrangling stories and optimistic persona have led to media appearances on Conan, The Tonight Show, BBC, and CNN, as well as a TED Talk and testimony before the United Nations on the right to farm. Fine's speaking events have included appearances at South by Southwest, Town Hall Seattle, National Geographic Heroes of the Planet series, and dozens of universities. He's joined me today to talk about his newest project, the myriad benefits and applications of the hemp plant, and share with us the joys and pitfalls of sustainable living. Welcome back, Doug, to the show.
So great to be back with you, Vivian. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Doug, you've become, by living example, a high-profile crusader for the cause of domestic industrial hemp production. Your emerging documentary features the same title as your most recent book, American Hemp Farmer. Before we dive into the content and intent of your movie project, can you just briefly describe your personal lifestyle and farming operation?
Thanks. Oh, that's a fun way to start. And so I grew up in the suburbs when Madonna was like a virgin, and lived for a number of years in Alaska, and then found a home in New Mexico, kind of writing about transitioning to a more regenerative life, solar panels, mischievous goats for zero carbon, my own milk. And hemp, by any stretch, deserves to be part of anybody's regenerative lifestyle. And for me, number one reason, we all know there's so many, but for me, it's about the superfood. Just seeing my family, and this is covered in the American Hemp Farmer film you mentioned, seeing my family being able to scale up baby steps. For instance, one hemp seed serving, 6 ounces, I think it was, maybe 4 ounces, one called 4 ounce serving for each of the 4 members of our family every 3 days, just from a hemp garden in the back that pretty much grew itself, I'd say under a dozen plants. So the lifestyle is trying to be food independent and healthy, and I just think for any human on the planet, hemp is a crucial part of it.
Why did you choose to expand your book, American Hemp Farmer, into an instructional and I think somewhat biographic documentary film? And how was the process initiated? How did it get off the ground and come to fruition? It's a PBS documentary, is that correct?
That's right. Yep. It premieres on PBS starting March 14th. And I say starting because stations, for people who watch old-fashioned TV, what a concept, I love doing it, they can check schedules and even nudge their stations if they haven't picked it up yet. But anybody in the U.S. can watch from anywhere 24/7 starting March 14th on the PBS streaming app and or PBS.org. And that's where it ended up. I'm glad that's where it ended up. But at the beginning, we were last chatting in 2021, just after the book version of American Hemp Farmer came out, you and I, Vivian, and it was just kind of dawning on me that it took a half decade to get the film actually in front of people's eyeballs. So just as an independent filmmaker, I hope that's a word of encouragement to anybody out there who just doesn't yet see the light at the end of the tunnel. If you believe in your film, keep pushing, because, yeah, I mean, it might take 5 years. The reason it ended up at PBS was lack of alternatives. The majors aren't really buying a lot of independent documentaries, period. And, we tried even to approach faith-adjacent stations because there's a lot of patriotism in the film. There's a really fun moment, Vivian, that you may have seen, where I was invited to harvest the first hemp crop at George Washington's Mount Vernon's in 1799, and it was in colonial clothes with sickles. Cut myself on camera, not intentionally, but regenerative hemp was a big thing for George Washington. Spoiler spoiler alert, his main use for it was his lucrative commercial fishing industry. He used hemp fiber for his fishing nets. So he used it for a lot of other things too. So we tried with faith-based and didn't get any traction there. And we felt very lucky that one of the main PBS feed distributors, called the National Education Television Association, watched it and said, we like it, let's get it out there to PBS. So now there'll be some eyeballs on hemp and regenerative living to a mainstream audience.
Doug, American Hemp Farmer follows one season in kind of the life of a hemp farm or farming operation. Why tell this story now? Is this particular moment a critical one for the hemp industry and our planet? And how does hemp fit into the larger conversation about regenerative agriculture and climate solutions?
That's such an excellent question. So on the first part of it, the timing is accidental. It's when the film distribution, vibe controllers said, let's do it. It could have been 2 years earlier, but I'm glad everything unfolded the way it did. As for, is it a crucial time? Hemp as an industry has had some setbacks after an enthusiastic start. When the commercial industry started going in 2018, I had, permits and all that, even before that through the research 2014 legalization, my own projects and other, helping others. And the CBD gold rush started, and I love cannabinoids, and CBG I love so much too. But it was a gold rush, and the crash was inevitable, and it's predicted in the book version of American Hemp Farmer. In 2020, it was still going, big CBD rush, and I was like, oh man. Anytime a hemp farmer comes to me, I say, please have the long view, grow for food or fiber. And that's unless you are willing to do top shelf, small scale. You can always make it go if you're creating a top shelf organic, say, CBD brand, as people still do. But as far as thinking you're going to be a farmer selling wholesale CBD, that crash was inevitable, and it came. And it took out about 80% of the hemp industry. Just because I personally cared about growing for food the most, I was unaffected by that. When consulting folks would bring me on, they were unaffected by that. To this day, I have a colleague who is a buyer who will buy wholesale organic hemp seed of a certain grade for any project that I'm working with, if they harvest it up to a certain quality level and it's certified organic. So not every farmer and every crop can say that. So the hemp industry is very much still kicking in food and fiber. I could shout out a lot of different groups, but I saw an email recently from the architecture in Idaho that does hemp insulation. Gosh, don't you hate the fiberglass insulation? I don't know what the price point is, folks, but you could support a domestic hemp for your next home insulation project. So, and they're not paying me to say that, I wish. And so it's still going, but the other big hit is this hemp ban. Of course, I'm sure you've covered it on this program many times. The big hemp ban that's less than a year away. It does not affect the hemp markets covered in the American Hemp Farmer book or film, because those are psychoactive cannabinoids. And most of this film is about food, fiber, and non-psychoactive cannabinoids. So the short answer is, at a critical time, it is. I mean, the hemp ban is a terrible thing and shouldn't happen. But mainly what I'm about is the food and superfood in this time, with obesity crises and diabetes. I hope that answered the question.
You broke up just a little bit. Just say that last sentence again.
Sure. Let's see if I can remember. For me, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
The hemp ban is a terrible thing, but it didn't affect the branches of the hemp plant that are mostly covered in American Hemp Farmer, which is superfood, fiber, and non-psychoactive cannabinoids like CBD and CBG. So, hopefully we can build those sides of the industry, especially the superfood side, because there's, as we all know, obesity, diabetes epidemics. People are having trouble staying healthy, and regenerative food and healthy food like hemp seeds can be part of the recovery on that.
Doug, in the film, we see the tension between small, independent, regenerative farmers and large corporate interests. Do you see hemp going the way of big ag, or is there still space for and a need for a decentralized model?
I always am into supporting as regional a farming network as possible. For any kind of, let's say, food product that we're not producing ourselves here on the Funky Bee Ranch in New Mexico. So first would be, am I growing it myself? Second would be, is my neighbor growing it? Third would be, can we get it at our local food co-op? Fourth would be, can we get it delivered by our CSA? I mean, like, we're only on fifth option to even go to the organic section of a supermarket chain for our personal, I'm talking about my own family. Having said that, we do, as a species, need worldwide production of food, and we do need worldwide regenerative production of food. In other words, soil building rather than soil depleting. And we have a section of the American Hemp Farmer film that does discuss what it would take to really transition mass agriculture to a regenerative model. And it's a staggering amount of acres. It's like almost all the farmland of North America, something like 200 million acres or something like that, would have to just radically shift from this monoculture GMO model to regenerative. And can it? I hope so, because it must. From being a farm consultant and working with farmers, I have seen in the last 10 or so years a major opening in, let's say, what I experience as prevailing heartland farmer opinion about regenerative and organics, going from sort of a, yeah, sure, if you're looking to make a markup on that crop and want to go through the hassle and paperwork, to people are getting sick from GMOs. People are getting sick from the herbicides and pesticides in rural communities. And just people are getting sick from unhealthy food. And there's just a recognition, I feel, about the need for transitioning from the monoculture model. It's not working for a lot of reasons. Productivity is going down too. So that all sounds great, but the problem is most, let's say, North American farmers are tied into a mass ag system that's not great, but at least they know they're gonna harvest that GMO corn or soy or wheat or whatever, or cotton, and get it to a processor, and they will be paid X dollars. It might not get them out of debt, but they will be able to pay their mortgage and not, and have their family. So telling someone risk that unsettling stability to try this new thing, I know it's a hard thing when you talk to the people that are willing to be the buyers. They're like, I plead with farmers, and it's understandably hard to get people to change what they know.
Right. And of course, ripping off what, ripping off of what you just said, just in this last week, this administration called for an expansion of glyphosate production, right? So, I mean, we have a large battle ahead of us. Doug, you've cultivated superfoods, including hemp, since, as you mentioned, the 2018 federal legalization, for more than a decade, and you've taught your methods of cultivation and seed building at Vermont Sterling College and online. Keeping in mind the complexities and the nuances of hemp cultivation, American Hemp Farmer is kind of an hour-and-a-half educational course on how to farm hemp. What is it that you hope your film ultimately accomplishes, and who's your primary target audiences?
Great question. Probably because of the fact that only 2% of Americans are farmers at all today, compared to 90% at the time of U.S. independence, probably the vast majority of viewers of the American Hemp Farmer film will not be professional farmers. And so the messaging for a general audience is taking baby steps towards food security in your own life and regenerative living is fun. It's going to add to your enjoyment of life. And the issue there being, I'm visualizing busy tech people in Greater Seattle, let's say, who don't feel as though they have time to cultivate a garden, and then just get those first few seeds, even if it's just a few square feet, and how happy it makes you. Like bringing a dog and petting a dog at work lowers your blood pressure. Similarly, I was as surprised as anyone to find it in myself, just what a happy space it is. Anybody who's been around plants knows this, that you actually might find yourself, really enjoying the hobby, while amazingly, even on small amounts of soil, sequestering a lot of carbon, and actually doing a small part for mitigating extreme climate events. So for a mainstream audience, I hope you find that regenerative living baby steps are fun. And the message is, if my family can do it, yours can. I grew up in the suburbs of New York, as we discussed earlier. And so there's that. And then for the professional farmers, I hope that professional farmers get wind of the film and want to watch it. And one of our PBS underwriters is a North Dakota company called Healthy Oil Seeds, and they buy organic hemp and flax from farmers. And so hopefully they'll be spreading the word to all the farmers that they work with. And they actually work with farmers in 20 countries. They export the hemp seed oil and the flaxseed oil and the stuff that they do so well up there in North Dakota. So for when farmers are watching this, what I hope the message they get is, anything entrepreneurial, farming or not farming, is going to be risky. There's no guarantees of success. However, if you take control of your work, in this case farming, and decide that you are going to transition from non-regenerative to regenerative anything, hemp or anything, where you've done your research, there's a buyer, et cetera, you're going to be finding benefits in the marketplace, and also doing your part for humanity's long-term survival.
Doug, you just kind of touched on the contentment and happiness that gardening and farming can bring. American Hemp Farmer manages to educate on the technical aspects of hemp and hemp production in, at times, a lighthearted, almost comedic fashion. You even talk about the simple importance of having fun. Why did you feel important to take that approach on what could be a rather tedious, boring subject?
I think because in my own life, it's such an important component of anything that I do to try to be having the best time that I can in this moment, versus people I really respect who, I'm going to take that oil rig job for 2 years and then I don't have to work for 10. I'm going to hate every second of it. I couldn't do that. So partly it's because I can't, it's who I am. And if I were, if I'm going to host the film and guide the story, it's gonna come across anyway. But I think also, like you said, it's to make people feel like they've watched a watchable film. I think that it's gonna go fast. Like for me, when I watch it now, obviously I'm biased, but it's over in a blink. And so it was partly that I was trying to make it a wild adventure.
And I think your approach might have also contributed to PBS's embrace of it. What do you think?
I hope so. Every time a station picks it up, I go, wow, either they're desperate for content or we did an okay job. I guess we'll find out. I'm really grateful to you for helping get the word out. But I think maybe they want ratings like everyone else.
Well, those are not mutually exclusive. You could have done a great job and they need content, Real.
I hope so.
So for communities struggling economically, in your opinion, what realistic opportunities does hemp as an industry offer today? And where should they be cautious? Should communities be looking at hemp production as an economic model?
Boy, I would love that. It's always been a dream. And so I should say too that when you unleash me to speculate like this, I love it because it's feasible. It's like not the craziest thing if it came about, but it would involve these big shifts in the way agriculture works. But so, for instance, let's say herding farmers is harder than herding cats. But let's just say a lot of big acreage farmers in a Dakota, in a Montana, get together and buy out the bankrupt processing co-op that had been used for other crops and decide that they're going to pool it together and grow organic hemp grain, which they know. My data is a little bit out, but let's just out of date. But let's just say organic hemp gets 90 cents a pound, or we'll even round up to $1 a pound. If you do the math on 1,000 acres, hemp routinely can produce 800 to 1,000. So I'm rounding up to 1,000. 1,000 pounds dry harvest of seed per acre. So that means if a farmer grows 1,000 acres of hemp at 1,000 a pound, that's 1 million acres at $1. A million pounds rather at $1 a pound. That's $1 million crop. Obviously, that's gross. There's a lot of time, energy, equipment, storage, transportation, insurance, all of it, payroll. But I have to say, if you talk to just about any farmer and say, work hard and organize for a year and you'll be making $1 million gross per acre, guaranteed. And I say guaranteed only in the sense that I know that there are people who will buy organic hemp. There's real hope that there could be transition, but if I'm being a realist, I'd say it's a long shot.
Right. And it might be an opportunity for somebody with depleted soil, because hemp will actually regenerate the soil and have minimal negative impacts, right?
Oh, gosh, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it's one thing that is in the book version of American Hemp Farmer, but not the film. I was asked, mainly just because I was known as a hemp farmer in New Mexico, by a New Mexico State University graduate student, if I would contribute my own hemp genetics to a study on cleaning up uranium-contaminated soil in the Four Corners region of New Mexico, they only got funding, I believe, for like what they would call first phase. I think maybe they're still working on second phase. Maybe they got some. But anyway, first phase, it was unbelievable, just based on a few of my seeds that they planted. And this is published and it's cited in the book version of American Hemp Farmer. But something like 90% of two main radioactive elements in the soil were removed from first planting, and then some other pretty big amount of the remainder in a second plant. Like, it really phytoremediates soil. Yes, baby, and you're right, it really does.
I believe it was utilized at Chernobyl as well.
Yeah, I think I heard that. Yeah. And why wouldn't they? And they know in Ukraine too, because they have a lot of hemp there.
So how important are hemp processing facilities for raw hemp? I mean, do we have enough processing facilities in America? Is that another industry that would be a brilliant thing to get involved in and to invest in?
I'm glad you put it that way, because what I was going to say is its absence is the number one logjam, especially for the fiber side of the plant. So for the seed side, the largest hemp seed oil producer at the time in the world, independent, was called Hemp Oil Canada. They've since been bought by Manitoba Harvest, and I visited their facilities, and all it was the same seed oil processor a small farmer could buy times 100. And what their founder told me was, yeah, we started with 3, then people kept buying our hemp seed oil. We got 12, and now we got 1,200. It's just, they look like sewing machines, and you can go bigger. So feed processing to scale can be done. We already know cannabinoid processing can be done. On fiber, when I crunched the numbers, also for the book version of American Hemp Farmer, talking to the people that set up the facilities to separate the bast fiber from the herd for the various applications that many of us know and love. Let's say everything from the hemp pants that I'm wearing right now to the herd being used as a really outstanding microbial balanced animal bedding. So to set up a facility like that at a commercial level, to be able to run, call it non-holiday 365 days, so 300 days a year, let's say, a mid-sized facility starts, and this was before recent inflation bursts, at about $3-something million for facilities, equipment, training, all that business. That's not insurmountable through, say, grant writing, but not easy. So fiber is the hardest. It also requires the most acreage, but we can handle that. We have enough acreage in the U.S.
Doug, I'd be, what do we have? We've got about less than 5 minutes left. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about your goats, because I think you're my first guest I've had in almost in 11 years that I can ask this question for. You are a goat guy, you're a goat whisperer.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
I fell in love with goats first when I was house sitting when I lived in Alaska, and then neighbors here kind of like taught me the ropes. When I first moved here, I wrote a book about regenerative living called Farewell My Subaru, about driving on vegetable oil, getting the carbon miles out of some of my food through things like goat milk, chicken eggs, duck eggs, that kind of thing. And the neighbor, who was a teenager at the time and now has something like 5 kids, maybe 6 kids. I called her my fairy goat mother in the book for all my Subaru. She kind of taught me the ropes of milking and caring for them day to day. I picked them up, these first couple of goats. All the goats that we've had are named after singers that we like, but who might be a little bit caprine in their voices. So we had Natalie Merchant and Melissa Etheridge as our first 2 goats. And I got them off of Craigslist. And like had this paranoid moment when I was picking them up, and the person said, "Can we meet like in this kind of gas station between New Mexico and Arizona?" I'm like, thought maybe that I didn't think I was doing anything illegal, but I didn't do enough research to know whether I was being set up for some kind of illegal like livestock purchase or something. But it wasn't. It was just a nice lady that had extra goats. And I've been working for goats much of the time ever since I started having human kids. I love that both goats and humans are called kids. We sometimes move them to the neighbors, sometimes they move them back. But most recently, we were evacuated for wildfire, and we had to get our goats immediately out of the wildfire range. Like it was our first thing, like picking up treasured family photos and property deeds, and then getting the goats the heck out first thing. So when you talk about climate events and stuff like that, the goats were close to our hearts because we were not going to leave them behind.
Excellent. So we excuse me, we've got about 2.5 minutes left. I want to say I thoroughly enjoyed my advance preview of American Hemp Farmer. It's just really done so well, and it's, like you said, it's entertaining, it moves fast, but it's also just tremendously informative. We've got a couple minutes left. What final thoughts would you like to leave us with?
I thank you so much for saying that, Vivian, because there can probably be a higher BS meter than you have from how long you've been involved in hemp, and so that it rang true to you is very high reviews. With all the years I have, I actually learned some things from your documentary. Oh man, that feels great. I'm going to tell my wife about that. And that's what I hope. I hope people come away learning a little bit and having fun. It's a time, I guess people are always saying this at every time, but it's a time when people can really use optimism, use something positive. There's no political divisiveness in this at all. It's pure hope and fun. So that's, in the end, what as much as teaching regenerative living and the value of hemp, I hope at the end it just makes people feel better about life when they finish watching it.
We still have a minute left. I want to just ask you quickly, you spoke to the United Nations. What was that experience like for you?
Thanks for asking. It was okay. I'll tell you the really funny story that happened. The organization that's for freedom to plant in Europe invited me to help write this speech, but we're going to let this patriarch of their legalization movement, Joop Uman, Belgian, make the speech that we all put together. He took one step in a restricted area and got clobbered by Robin Egg's UN troops. And just as they're pulling him away, he hands me the paper. He goes, "You read it." And so I just didn't know until 15 minutes before that I was going to read it. He was trying to take a picture, and yeah, he got arrested. So there's a video of it on YouTube. If you look up Doug Fine UN, United Nations, Freedom to Plant, something like that. Vienna, it was in the Vienna UN. There it is. There's a speech that I had no idea I was going to be giving. And it was just basically about, obvious stuff about hypocrisy and federal drug policy, and just let people plant. Don't regulate for bad players, regulate for farmers.
American Hemp Farmer is coming to public TV stations and the PBS app March 14th. Doug Fine at dougfine.com. Thank you so much, my brother, for all your work, and thank you for talking with me today.
Thank you, Vivian. So great.
My pleasure. The Hemp Present intro music is 7 Mile Beach by Joanne Rand, and the outro music is Take Back the Plant by Stickerbush. See you next time, folks. Stay strong.
Marijuana.